The Coyote Twin, Vermilion's downtown theater. Providing entertainment Thursdays through Sundays.
This evening on Coyote News, USD athletes are honored for their heritage.
Plus, a new telehealth bill is making its way through the House. Coyote News starts right now.
Live from the Al Newharth Media Center, this is Coyote News.
Good evening, I'm Cindy Funderman.
And I'm Philip Larson. We'll hear those stories soon, but first.
A state House committee passed a measure that would ban telemedicine prescriptions and instead require women to visit a licensed abortion clinic. House Bill 1318 passed out of committee with a vote of 10-1 along party lines. State lawmakers are also considering whether to allow a pregnant woman to receive the second round of abortion medications from a second physician at the clinic. The bill comes from Governor Kristi Noem and seeks to codify rules from the Department of Health that came from the governor. Earlier this month, a federal judge issued a preliminary injunction blocking telemedicine abortion restrictions imposed by the governor. House Bill 1318 will be heard on the full House floor tomorrow.
USD's men's basketball had a win against Western Illinois this weekend, and the SCSC welcomed nearly 600 Native American students and alumni. Prior to the start of the game, the USD Native Drum Group performed a Lakota honoring song. Coyote guard Mason Archambault was draped in a Standing Rock Sioux tribal flag during both the honoring song and the national anthem. The game also included a traditional Native dance during halftime. In addition to the celebrations at the basketball game, events throughout the day included a tour for prospective USD students from tribal nations all over South Dakota. After the Coyotes' 78-65 win over Western Illinois, Archambault stayed for pictures and autographs. USD has 11 Native American students on its athletic teams. The event attendance was twice than what was expected for Native American Heritage Day.
The State House is approving a large sum of money for the National Music Museum to finish its renovations. The bill narrowly passed with a vote of 47-23 after Speaker of the House Spencer Gosh changed his no vote to yes. House Bill 1209 gives $3 million to the National Music Museum for educational exhibits and security for the instruments housed there. Republican Representative Taffy Howard of District 33 opposes the bill. She says spending $3 million on a music museum is directly against the conservative Republican way of doing government. Many representatives on both sides of the political aisle supported the bill. They say the instruments housed in the museum are priceless, and the state money would help secure the future of those artifacts.
Coming up, how the law school helps students during tax season. Plus, we hear about upcoming Summit League festivities. Stay with us.
The Student Government Association is a great way for students to actually impact on what happens to campus or make a meaningful change through legislation and SGA.
This is Coyote News.
USD's law school is offering tax help for students at the Vermilion Public Library. The library is hosting volunteer tax assistance, and it's free to all students for the months of February, March, and April. Students who are filing taxes can visit the Vermilion Public Library to meet with law students for guidance and find more information on the things that they may need to file their taxes. The services are available to taxpayers with very little income or savings.
Unite for USD has beat its fundraising record once again. For the fourth straight year, Unite for USD has increased the amount of money raised for different initiatives across campus. The event gathered almost $1.9 million from 1,444 donors. Charlie's Cupboard was the initiative that had the most donors at 254, while the Beacom School of Business topped the amount of dollars raised with $322,000. Funds came in from alumni, students, parents, fans, and community members in the 1,862 minutes that the fundraiser occurred. That number is corresponding to the year USD was founded.
This week, USD hosts the final 2 home basketball games of the regular season. The women's team plays tomorrow night at 7 and Saturday at 1. In less than 2 weeks, both the men's and the women's teams will be playing in the Summit League tournament in Sioux Falls. Jaron Duffy of Coyote Athletics joins Coyote News' Kate Cromer live in the muck to discuss how students can get involved. Kate?
Thanks, Sydney. I'm here live in the muck with Assistant Director of Athletics, Jaron Duffy. Now, do you want to share a little bit more about what's happening here on Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. So our women's basketball's final game of the year and senior day is this Saturday in the Sanford Coyote Sports Center. And prior to the game, we'll have a little party for them on the concourse in the Dakota Dome. So the West Side Concourse. We'll have a free party beforehand with free food, games, drinks. So kind of a cool way to integrate a little tailgating into basketball and send off our 4 seniors with a fun party to kick things off.
So how important is it to get the Coyote community back together since we haven't really been able to have something like this since COVID hit?
It's really important because 2 years ago we had a lot of momentum going into the season, and senior day especially. We had a really good crowd for that game, and one thing we talked about was how we could build on it and make senior day more special each year, and a tailgate was something we talked about, and obviously we couldn't do it last year. We were limited on capacity and different gatherings like tailgate parties. So this year we were really excited to be able to do it, and it coincides with a really special senior class as well.
What can fans anticipate from these next 2 games?
Hopefully a couple of really good crowds and really competitive games. The Coyotes are currently kind of tied atop the Summit League standings, and we're going against the number 3 and number 4 teams in the Summit League. So there are 2 really big games going into the Summit League tournament, and they're obviously their last 2 home games as well. So they're looking to get some momentum going in. So we're hoping for a couple of really good crowds and a couple of really good games.
Jaron, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
The free tailgate will take place from 10:30 to 12:30 in the West Concourse of the Dakota Dome. Live for Coyote News, I'm Kate Cromer.
Thanks, Kate. Again, the tailgate is Saturday morning and the Summit League tournament begins 1 week from Saturday. Next up, your Coyote Sports dive into this past weekend's men's basketball game.
In the United States, approximately 6.3 million animals enter shelters every year. Of those, only 3.2 million will be adopted, and over 920,000 will be euthanized. Help put a stop to animal homelessness, save a life, and rescue your next best friend.
This is Coyote News.
This is Coyote Sports. I'm Michael Stake.
And I'm Hannah Gokenauer.
The Coyote men's basketball team had a big weekend, and we have details. The Coyote men's basketball team ended their last homestand of the season with 2 wins last week. On Thursday, the Coyotes hosted conference newcomer St. Thomas. USD scored the first 17 points in the contest, and the Yotes held a 14-point lead at halftime and added their lead in the second half, winning the game 81-60. Saturday was Native American Heritage Day, as USD honored the school's Native American athletes before the game. Coyotes guard Mason Archambault was honored during the event, wearing the Standing Rock Sioux tribal flag and scoring 12 points in the contest. The Coyotes and Leathernecks traded three-pointers back and forth early on as 36 of the combined 70 first-half points were from behind the arch. The Coyotes received energy from the fans in the second half, propelling them to a 78-65 victory. The Coyotes are currently 5th in the Summit League and will finish up the regular season on the road, facing Kansas City tomorrow night and Oral Roberts on Saturday.
The Coyote women's basketball team was on the road last week, starting with St. Thomas on Thursday. Hannah Shervin led the Coyotes with 26 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks en route to the 27-point victory. The game against Western Illinois was canceled and postponed until a later date. That hasn't been announced yet by the Summit League. The Coyotes return home to close out the season against Kansas City tomorrow at 7. And Saturday, the Coyotes will face off against Oral Roberts for Senior Day at 1. A track and field athlete preparing for an upcoming Summit League championship. Coyote News' Landon DeBoer is live in the muck to hear about the pentathlon. Landon?
Thanks, Hannah. I'm here with Holly Gerberding of the USD track and field team. Last time around at the Indoor Summit League Championships, you had a pretty successful run. How are you looking to build off of that success?
I'm just looking forward to being able to compete with my team, and I think as a fifth-year senior, I've been doing this enough times just to go in with confidence and know what needs to be done. And honestly, the key to all of it is just to have fun out there.
And as a pentathlete, how does your mindset change between each event in the pentathlon?
We have kind of a saying between our multi-squad is each event you change shoes and you change mindset. So say you have a great hurdle race, you take that same energy into high jump, but you also reset. Or say the hurdle race didn't quite go the way you wanted it to, you change your shoes and you let the last event go and you focused on the next one.
And as a fifth-year senior, how do you hope to leave the indoor season there? And what are your goals for the Indoor Summit League Championships?
I think going to the meet, obviously I have my own personal goals, defending my title and just performing to the best of my ability, but I'd say my main focus is winning the team title. It would be our first team title ever for program histories, and I think that we have a really good shot at finally capturing that title, so it'd be really special to take that as a fifth-year senior and have fun with it as a team.
Well, thank you for joining us, Holly. Best of luck.
Thank you.
The Coyotes track and field team will compete on Friday in Grand Forks at the Summit League Championships. Live in the muck for Coyote News, I'm Landon DeBoer.
Thanks, Landon. Again, the championship begins on Friday at UND. The swim and dive teams were in Fargo for the Summit League Championships this past weekend. The men and women's team both took sole position of second place for day 2 of the 4-day competition. Both teams tried to make up ground against Denver, but the Pioneers held the lead all 4 days in men and women's side, helping DU sweep the Summit League Championships. South Dakota locked down second place in both men's and women's division with a combined 7 event wins. Stella Fairbanks won the women's 1-meter dive, which helped her achieve the Women's Diving Championship MVP award. Fairbanks will compete at the NCAA Zone Diving Championships in Madison, Wisconsin, March 6th through the 9th. The Coyote swim teams will send a few competitors to NIC National Invitational in Elkhorn, Indiana, March 10th through the 12th.
The softball team continued their hot streak, winning 4 of their 5 games in the Furman Classic, putting them at 8-2 on the season. The Coyotes got wins against St. Francis, Furman, and 2 against Georgetown, with their only loss in the Classic coming in their second bout against the St. Francis Red Flash. Freshman pitcher Kinley Marquez made her first 2 appearances of the year, getting credited with the win in both games, 1 in the starter and allowing only 1 run in over 10 innings of play. Catcher Jordan Pender went 5 for 16 on the weekend, driving in 11 runs. 6 of them were drove in during the tournament opener against Georgetown, when Pender hit a grand slam in the first and a 2 RBI double in the 5th. The team will play next weekend at the Fieldsburg Classic in Miami, Florida, where they'll take on Brown, Florida International, Drexel, and will play 2 games against Stony Brook.
Coming up, we hear what students say is the best advice they've ever received.
My favorite thing about the International Club is the different events they hold within the school year. My particular favorite is definitely Festival of Nations.
Peace out. Except for you. Wait,
This is Coyote News.
Sometimes it can feel like all advice is bad advice.
In this week's Out and About, we asked students, what is the best advice you've received?
Whether you take it or not, we'll let you decide. Here's what they had to say.
You know, don't wish for things in your life to end so quickly because you'll grow old and you'll never have that time back. So it is best to savor every moment as much as possible.
Do not worry too much because I worry a lot about things. So she was just like Hakuna Matata.
You only get out what you put in. To remember to take it slow because you never know what you're going to miss. To always believe in yourself.
If you want something done, do it yourself.
To trust my gut a little bit more. Sometimes you, deep inside, you know when something's off, or you believe in yourself deep inside, but your mind keeps suppressing it and tells you what to do and how to do it. You react in a different way than you're supposed to, so just trust your gut.
I just keep my head up and keep continuing with my dreams.
In 5 years, you'll thank yourself for your decision.
Best piece of advice I've ever received is to drop out.
Well, Sydney, I'll give you a little piece of advice from yours truly. I'd say if you feel like the world is against you and nothing seems to be going right for yourself, and then all of a sudden that just kind of becomes your philosophy, at that point it's you against yourself. And I feel like you're not going to win in life by victimizing yourself or just perpetuating a sense that you're always never going to win. I think positivity and a good mindset comes a long way, so it's just a little advice from me.
That was really great, Phil. I really enjoyed that, and I think I'll have to keep that in mind. But my parents always told me to dream big and to never stop dreaming, because if you don't have dreams to work towards, then what are you working for?
That's absolutely correct. A gemstone billed as one of the largest gem quality opals in existence was sold for $143,750 at an auction in Alaska on Sunday. The opal, dubbed the Americus Australis, weighs more than 11,800 carats. And according to the auction house Alaska Premier Auctions and Appraisals, it also has a long history. Most recently, it was kept in a linen closet in a home north of Anchorage by Fred Von Brandt, who mines for gold in Alaska and whose family has deep roots in the gem and rock business. The opal's larger than a brick and is broken into two pieces, which Von Brandt says was a practice used for decades ago to prove gem quality. Von Brandt says the stone's been in his family since the late 1950s when his grandfather bought it from an Australian opal dealer. That's it for tonight's Coyote News.
Pick up this week's issue of the Volant to read how the SGA presidential candidate team is preparing for the election.
For sports coverage of tomorrow's women's basketball game, listen to 91.1 KAOR. Coyote Radio will also be at the Summit League tournament.
Follow us on our social media pages, including TikTok. This is Coyote News. Have a great night.